Microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Cushion's here coming to you with the newest edition of the Microdose. How you guys doing? What you been doing? Where you doing it at? Are you ready to vote this Tuesday coming up? It's a little important. I don't even know what we're voting for, but you can't complain about it if you don't do it. So folks, where does the time go? It was only 18 short months ago that our guest was last on. Thankfully, the columnist for PWI, the manager of champions, Pollo Del Mar. What's good, y'all? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Kush. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. It definitely does not seem like 18 months have gone by.
No,
but
it doesn't.
I guess time flies. I am having fun, so time flies for that. But I think time flies when you're just crazy busy, and I have been. And it's a blessing.
Yo, you are killing it right now.
Thank you.
Maybe it's just the algorithm I'm getting because we're connected on Facebook and Twitter. But every other week, I'm going to be at this event. I'm going to be at this event. I'm leading this person to stardom. I'm leading this team to championships. You are the manager of champions. Do you feel it? It's getting bigger every day. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong. I do feel it. I absolutely feel like I am hitting my groove right now. And I think that, in the world of professional wrestling, I think it's very important to stay very active and keep busy. But I also think that it's equally important to have that buzz behind you. You know what I mean? That clamor of from audiences to see you. And I feel very fortunate at this moment to be in a place where people are requesting promoters to bring me in and audiences are hungry to see me. And I feel like it's finally hitting on all cylinders for me, and it's the perfect place for me to be.
You're part of the NorCal scene right now. I believe you're doing some work with Hood Slam. I saw you at UGWA back in July in San Francisco. But how many different letters of the alphabet are you associated with these days?
LGBTQ at least. No, just a lot. I'm very, very lucky. My home promotion is Underground Wrestling Alliance, UGWA, as you mentioned. We're recording this just a couple days out from a big event for us. It was our Devil's Night 17, the longest running tradition in Underground Wrestling Alliance history at the SF Emporium. It was my second actual wrestling match this year. I don't wrestle very often, but I did wrestle this past weekend. I'm also, of course, part of the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm part of Game Changer Wrestling tangentially, and I am part of any other promotion that decides that they want to bring me in. The manager of champions has a passport, has those frequent flyer miles, and is ready to travel.
You can also get in touch with the manager of champions on Twitter at the Glamazon PDM. Also, TikTok and Instagram under Pollo Del Mar fans. Let's talk about NWA. Hard Times in New Orleans coming out 1 week from this release, November 12th, 6 p.m. local time. It is at the Frederick J. Seeger Civic Center. And just in case you happen to be in town, 8245 West Judge Perez Drive in Chalamet, Louisiana. It's also available on Fight.tv for $25. What should people be looking forward to on this? Now, you aren't going to be in the Big Easy for this one. Do you think the NWA is threatened by you?
I think that the NWA is missing out for sure by not having me there. I firmly believe that Pollo Del Mar and Thrillbilly Silas Mason in the Big Easy New Orleans would be I think we would be a massive hit there. But in terms of what is happening for the National Wrestling Alliance, this is one of our big pay-per-views of the year. This is Hard Times 3. We will be seeing the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Trevor Murdoch, defending his belt in a three-way dance against the big, oh my God, humongous, honestly, Tyrus, as well as against Matt Cardona, the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So this is going to be a big time match feel for me. I think that we could see a crowning of a new world champion there in Chalamet. And that's just one of the big matches. I'm also extremely excited to have a chance to watch Camille, the NWA World Women's Champion, also ironically in a three-way dance, defend our World Women's Championship against Kylan King and Chelsea Green. So big matches headlining the card. I think that my man Silas Mason's going to be there. The thrill, Billy, honey. He's going to be there and he's going to thrill the audiences. But I'll be watching from home on Fight TV like so many others.
Fight TV, is that it's probably going to be a weird question. Are they a good provider? Like, does the stream cut out, or is it just crystal clear 4K? Like,
I've always had really very good. I've always had very good luck and very good quality from Fight TV. I, of course, despite being part of the company, I watch the debut of NWA Power every Tuesday at 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fight TV, just like most of our audiences do. And then I watch again the rebroadcast of it on YouTube on Fridays at 6:05 p.m. And then I watch NWA USA, of course, Saturdays at noon Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on the National Wrestling Alliance YouTube. But the Fight TV quality is always good. I'm excited that not only will I be able to catch my NWA there, but now GCW has their whole new package with Fight TV. So a subscription service. So I'll be able to get to watch all the GCW shows that I've been part of, as well as have missed, just simply because I didn't have time to watch them because I was doing my own stuff.
We mentioned your Instagram account. You recently crossed, was it 10,000 people or is it 100,000?
No, oh my God. If I had 100,000, we'd be having a much bigger rejoice ceremony. It was 10,000. I have been 10, with Instagram for quite a long time, but 10,000 followers. And I feel so lucky because, those are people who are choosing to follow me on social media, most of whom, probably the last 4,000 or so, specifically because they love pro wrestling. There's a lot of people who love the drag element of it, but there's so many of them who are pro wrestling fans. So it's really fun to interact with people who now recognize, embrace, and appreciate me as a pro wrestling personality.
How's your Twitch TV channel going?
Oh man, Twitch is super fun to me. I love, the reason I actually really love Twitch is because I'm, of course, for anybody who's not familiar, twitch.tv/PolloDelMar is where you can find me. I stream old school wrestling. That's all we talk about really and watch. There's my old school wrestling streams. But I'm live on the screen and they can chat and interact with me live. So I can actually see the questions, and it's very interactive. It's a great way to pull together a lot of my fan bases, I find, because frequently what I'll do is while we're talking there, I'll do things like drop a link to a tweet that I've recently put out into the chat box. And it allows me to really directly interact with people. And it allows me as well to, in my opinion, harness the following that I have, because I can say things like, hey, I put this out on Twitter, go take a look at it. If you, let's say, for example, I'm trying to get the attention of a promotion, and this is a true story. If I'm trying to get the attention of a promotion I would like to work with, I'll tweet that promotion sometimes, and then I'll drop the link in my Twitch stream, and we can talk about like, hey, I really want to go to this, like, share this, comment on it, whatever the case may be. And it's frequently gotten the attention of places that have started to build relationships with me. And it's a very good way, as I said, to harness the power of my Pollo posse.
That's a sick name. I love that.
The Pollo
other promotions, the Pollo Posse is sick. Yeah.
That's who they are.
I'm a sucker for alliteration. There you go. Are other promotions like reaching out to you and saying, like, hey, would you do a commentary on this event we did 5 years ago or whatever? Or is it just strictly the classics right now? And which classics are they?
So I haven't even really started to delve into a lot of the current promotions that are running. What we stream, for example, my most recent stream, we were watching USWA from 1991.
Oh wow.
We started my streaming by watching Mid-South Wrestling. We started in 1982, and we went sequentially through every single episode up until the time that Mid-South became the Universal Wrestling Federation. and ultimately joined Jim Crockett Promotions and became defunct. So we watched 5+ years sequentially of pro wrestling shows over the course of probably, it took us maybe 6 months to do that. And then once we finished that, we went and we watched Smoky Mountain Wrestling from episode 1 all the way to its end 4 years later. So that, by the way, for the listeners, what they ran from 1991 to 1995. So these are very, and we watched 82 to 87 for UWF. My favorite promotions and my favorite material to watch usually is stuff from the 80s. We've watched pieces of Florida Championship Wrestling from the 70s and 80s. We've watched pieces of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling from the early 80s. We have watched bits and pieces of AWA where you can find it. The things that we have to watch out for, and which are really limiting for us, quite honestly, is that I can't stream anything that is heavily copywritten. So if somebody like the WWE owns something and we stream it, there's a chance that I can get in a lot of trouble for that. So we try to shy away from that. If it's not available on YouTube from some kind of an authorized user, it's very challenging to do it. You know what I mean? Like I can't really stream pirated material because that could get me in a lot of trouble. I will tell you, I mentioned that the Underground Wrestling Alliance is my home promotion, and I've been working with them for a year and a half now, and I love it. Anthony Trevino, who is the owner, promoter, and genius behind that particular promotion, has become a very, very good friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. I love that man. He's smart. He's funny. He gets it. He gets me, the way he presents me in his promotion, I love. But I did not know him. I'd never met him until, ironically, Twitch came about for me because I wanted to start streaming more localized wrestling content. And a number of my friends had been tweeting about doing an UGWA show. And I was like, man, I want to do, I don't know this company. I want to find out more about it. I'd like to maybe work with them. A lot of my friends are working there. So I asked, I direct messaged them, do you mind if I stream some of your more recent matches? And so he sent matches that he had submitted to me. And what I did not know is that he had joined the stream and was watching with me. And I was basically doing commentary over top of whatever was happening on the screen. And when the stream ended, he had messaged me and said, "You're effing hilarious. Would you be interested in coming down and doing commentary on one of my shows?" And of course I was blown away. Yeah, I would love that. So I did. And that was, I want to say, in June of last year of 2021. And a month later, he brought me back and said, "Hey, what you didn't know was that you were sort of auditioning because I lost one of my guests, my color commentators. I wanted to put you in that role, but I have a different idea." And I went in one show from doing commentary to basically being in the main event picture. And I've remained in that main event scene for the last 18 months with them. And it's been a true gift, not just because of the spotlight that I get to have there and the creativity that is afforded us, but because of the fact that I've made an incredible friendship and many other friendships have blossomed as a result.
Nice. Yeah, I got to go backstage at that show in July just for a few minutes, and it's a very nice, relaxed locker room. Everyone's having fun. No one's being irresponsible, but everyone is having a good time, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, it was a very interesting show. I hated having to leave as early as I did. It was just one of those things where it's like, I got into town 2 hours ago, and I need to go back to bed now. It was a cool event. I did not even know that the Emporium was a thing.
Well, I didn't know the Emporium was a thing either until we started running, and it's like a mile and a half from my house. So
nice.
What a blessing it is, honestly, man, for a small independent wrestling promotion to have a venue that is that friggin' cool, that is that supportive. The Emporium loves what we do. They love the audience we bring in. I mean, man, that place is very, very cool. And having it available to us in a city like San Francisco, where finding a venue to do pro wrestling is like next to impossible. We got super lucky.
Being a mile and a half from the venue, did you find yourself on like one of those Lime scooters as Pollo Del Mar just going through the streets?
Oh, the hell I would never ever.
Never.
I, never ever. No, actually, I can't say that because one time for our Christmas event, I
Mhm.
was right. I don't remember what the hell they're called, but they're those two-wheel scooters that, um, you
Oh,
have
the
to like sort of.
segues.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was on a Segway one Christmas in high heels and full everything, and people were
Mhm.
like, "You're out of your mind," and I was like, "This is amazing." So maybe I definitely, I guess I misspoke by saying never ever, because that Segway experience was super fun. So I might,
Mhm.
throw
All
a little
right.
bit
Well,
of gimmick on and roll over there on a Segway sometime if I had
like
one.
just hear me out. Like it can be a scooter. The bicycles probably don't work, but like a cape with Ugwa's date and address on it. All right.
Oh yeah,
That,
that's great.
yeah. That's just good promotion. That's what I
Riding
do.
riding around the Castro promoting it, like,
Yeah.
because it's like it's walking distance pretty much from the Castro, which for anybody who doesn't know, the Castro is the LGBTQ neighborhood in San Francisco specifically, and it's right up the street from the Emporium. So very, very good marketing opportunity.
Food for thought. Next time. Next time.
Absolutely.
As we discussed at the top of the show, it's been 18 months since you were last here. And when you were last here, and it's like, who's someone you want to work with? And you went on a nice little soliloquy about how you're in love with the Dark Sheik, and then boom, you're working with the Dark Sheik. Like, let's who
That is correct.
it's. I'm not suggesting you end that relationship. Keep it going. It seems to be a strong thing, but who would you like to work with now that you're not working with?
Well, first, I want to say that at the most recent Underground Wrestling Alliance show, Dark Sheik, who is the crown jewel of my faction, the Agenda, with Anton Vorhees, with Money, Power, Respect, Marco Mayor, and Fabuloso Fabricio, as well as Jay Vidal, who is our ad hoc member. He's traveling, but Dark Sheik just regained the Underground Wrestling Alliance Championship of Sharks. She's now a two-time champion. Congratulations, Dark Sheik. I've also worked with her, of course, managing her on a couple of select dates for GCW. That was, I do think, a scenario of speaking things into existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there
Let's
are
do another one.
people. Yeah. So in terms of working with people, there's a few out there that I would love to work with. In the National Wrestling Alliance, I'm partnered with Thrillbilly Silas Mason, and I am equally in love with that combination. Like that combination works so well. Our chemistry is so good together. We are a juxtapositioning of what is hyper traditional in National Wrestling Alliance and what is entirely untraditional or non-traditional in NWA. And I think that combination works really well. So I'm not trying to necessarily like attract new clientele, but there are people that I would like to work with as opponents. For us, I would love to see where Silas and I are capable of going in the NWA against some of the people who work there. I would really love to work against Jordan Clearwater. Jordan Clearwater he is the UWN, the Unified Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. He's a top contender in NWA for the World Television title. And in fact, he will be competing for the World TV title at the Hard Times 3 pay-per-view coming up. But I would love to sort of work that type of a situation, because we're two entirely different types of characters, and he has a fantastic manager as well in Black Cheese. And I would love to be able to kind of see where that goes. We also had a fantastic chance to interact with members of Father James Mitchell's kind of army of miscreants. And James Mitchell and I have a very strong chemistry as well. I would love to work a program where I have the chance to learn from and compete against him, mind to mind. So those are two things that come to mind immediately. In a bigger sense, if I were to take on a new client or be paired with somebody that I think would be super unique, I would love to work with Joey Janela. Joey Janela is insane, and I have gotten to work with him. Dark Sheik took on Joey Janela at a Game Changer Wrestling event here in San Francisco, and I managed her. So I had some great interactions with Joey Janela in that moment, but I would like to see what kind of pairing we would make, or perhaps an Effie. I think that Effie and I, despite the fact that Effie does not need me to be flamboyant, I think that that could be a really interesting dynamic as well.
When you say Effie doesn't need you to be flamboyant, like, would your character be too strong against Effie's, or would it complement it?
If Effie and I were paired together, I think it would take it to an all different level. If I were to be honest, I don't think that I would work well with a babyface Effie. If Effie were to ever, turn his back on the fans, I think that I could be a very fun addition. I think that that could take it to a new level, and there could be some really interesting things to come from that. But what I basically meant is that, for some characters, adding me on takes things to another level. It notches them up. It makes things more colorful, more wild, more crazy. And when I think of Effie, and as I know him quite well, I just don't see where we could go with him, in his current role. I don't think he needs to be any bigger or more flamboyant or any crazier. So I think that he's so perfect exactly the way he is. I'm not sure where I would fit in that picture, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Not every stable has a manager that is the sun, if you will, that everything orbits around. But in the case of the agenda, you are that personality. Everyone is there because of you. And when folks come to an UGWA, they're there to see Pollo Del Mar and her cronies. Like, how much bigger can the agenda get, or is it like, do you need to keep it at 4? Can it be 10? Like, can it be as big as the NWO?
First of all, we're technically 5,
Okay.
plus me.
Excuse me.
So again, it's Dark Sheik is our crown jewel for certain. Anton Vorhees is I think that he is a lot of the wily element of our group.
Okay.
And then there's
Wild
Money,
card.
Power, Respect, Marco and Fab. I think that they are, they are our tag team muscle. They are the Underground Wrestling Alliance tag team champions. They are the 2021 Northern California Tag Team of the Year.
Nice.
And then we have Jay Vidal. And Jay Vidal is a member of our company, of our group, of our posse, that unfortunately he does not, he's not as available as the others are sometimes. And what I mean by that is that Jay is such a rising star. Not that there's other members that are not rising stars, but Jay is a rising star who actually lives on the East Coast. So it makes it a little more challenging. And to have him in town with us a lot. So, but in terms of growth of the organization, I think that there are benefits to having large numbers, and there are definite detriments to having large numbers. And what it reminds me of when you ask that is the dynamic that I first experienced when I was in college and I was a member of a fraternity. And when I first joined our fraternity was rather small. And what it meant when the group was smaller, everybody had much stronger ties with each other, because there was, you were a core. And when we grew, there were definite benefits of that, because there were more bodies to do work and there were more things that we could accomplish. But it also saw factions and fractions, and I did not like that. And I think that asking things about, like, what about the NWO? We saw the NWO fall apart because of factions and fractions, and I don't ever want that. I want our group is strong. We are tight knit. We are a unit. And I think that that is extremely important to me.
Who was the manager that afraid of is not the right word, threatened even is not a word, but you're just like, this motherfucker over here, I need to keep an eye on him or her?
For myself, who is somebody that I've never felt threatened by anybody, because what I am most confident about is who I am, right? I know there is only one Pollo Del Mar, the manager of champions, the champion of managers. But there are individuals out there who I think certainly have aspirations, who at this point in my career actually look to me as a blueprint for what it looks like to be a successful manager on the independent and larger pro wrestling scene. And I think that there are people who would love to gun for that kind of success. Now, I think that somebody we've seen for a very long time in Northern California professional wrestling, who might be eyeing my success with a little bit of a desire to step on my toes, would be a Lucian Delight. We know Lucian Delight. I'm sure that you know Lucian Delight as well. People that I've encountered that have certainly given me reason to pay attention to them would be individuals like Doc Atrocity, and that's because Doc Atrocity apparently has a strong lustful feeling for my voluptuous lady lumps, so he's expressed those, so I might have to watch out for that.
Saw that in July. That was quite a shock.
Absolutely. Oh my God, the passes that he's made at me are just awkward and uncomfortable. So, but in terms of what I'm looking to accomplish in the world, there are people that I'm not threatened by, but I would certainly love to try my hand against, because you are only as good as your competition. And my factions, my groups, my tag teams, the individuals I've led have all been wildly successful and will continue to be. But I want to also better myself. So going against mind to mind, scheme for scheme with someone like a legend, Reverend James Mitchell, or others would do me a tremendous amount of good in terms of honing my skills.
I don't know. I forget who took the photo, but there's a photo out there where James Mitchell is strangling me at a WrestleFest 2007. I don't even remember how it came up. I just remember like, you guys want to take a picture? And he just started strangling me. And it's like, ugh. Anyway.
So I have a question for you. Do you find that people often start strangling you? Because if that's the case, it might be you. You might be the problem.
It might be me. It might be in that one case. It was definitely James Mitchell, but I can guarantee you there are plenty of other people out there who would also love the opportunity to strangle me, and that is a me problem. So I'm.
Did you see the photo of James flipping me off? He was like right in my face, flipping me off. And I was
but that's exciting.
It's hilarious. We did a whole photo shoot at NWA, and kayfabe element aside, James Mitchell is brilliant and funny and as kind and as forthcoming with his knowledge as he is genius. And that is he's a very definite attribute to the world of professional wrestling. He is a veteran who is only too willing to offer his extensive amount of knowledge to anyone who asks for it. And I have loved sitting under his learning tree more than one time at NWA.
I remember watching him in the early days of TNA, and in my personal opinion, he was one of the best parts of TNA. It's just, he had style, he had that flamboyancy, but he was also twisted and sinister, and of course, he had Abyss with him. But like, why? I'm just maybe super duper out of the loop, and I still am. Why are we not seeing him on TV more? Like, he's a personality unto his own. There isn't another James Mitchell out there. There isn't a younger 2.0 version right now.
Certainly not. And I would ideally hope there never will be, because he is somebody who I think is wildly underappreciated in the world of professional managers. And, I was telling you how we went back and watched old Smoky Mountain Wrestling on my Twitch, and we got to see his actual on-screen debut.
Oh shit.
With, under a different name, under a different presentation, but instantly captivating. One of, if not the best promo on that entire program over the years, and a very intriguing persona that never had an opportunity to take off because they paired him with something abysmal.
Well, that sucks too.
It did. Trust and believe it sucked.
I also mentioned at the top of the show tonight that election day is upon us. It'll be the following Tuesday after this episode drops. But there's an also equally, if not more important, election coming up here. Folks, you have the opportunity till November 17th to vote for Pollo Del Mar in the QWI Pro Wrestling Awards. I know what the initials stand for, but would you tell everybody what is QWI and where did they come from?
It's based on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated. It's Queer Wrestling Illustrated, I'm pretty sure is what it stands for. And there is a podcast known as LGBT in the Ring, hosted by Brian Bell. It is an affiliate of Outsports.com. Outsports is the largest internet-based coverage of all things LGBTQ plus in the world of sports in general. And Brian covers pro wrestling in depth on that site on a regular basis, hosts his own podcast. And as a result of the concept of the growing number of individuals within the LGBTQ plus community who are involved in professional wrestling, he decided to follow the lead of one of my colleagues at Pro Wrestling Illustrated, whose name is Righteous Reg, who writes the Black Wrestling Index or Black Wrestling Illustrated, the BWI 500, which was done to showcase the depth of people of African American or Black descent in the world of professional wrestling. And so Brian does this every year. He's done it for the past number of years, this QWI top 200, I believe, professional wrestlers. And the last year he launched the Year End Awards, where people can nominate individuals who may not even be professional wrestlers to get awarded things like best look in the world of professional wrestling, or best commentator who is or identifies as LGBTQ plus, best promotion that showcases and or is run by people of the LGBTQ plus community. And I was very fortunate to be an 8-time nominee last year, and I won Pro Wrestling Personality of the Year in 2021. So right now, the listeners are able to go and make nominations. That time frame that you mentioned through the 17th is actually the nomination period. And
the 21st is when the finals come out.
The voting begins. But the benefit of doing a nomination is that if an individual is actually moves forward in that category as a formal nominee, your nomination counts as a vote in advance. So, if 200 people nominate me for Pro Wrestling Personality of the Year or best commentator for the work I've done with GCW and LA Fights, as well as Underground Wrestling Alliance, or if they were to nominate me for Journalist of the Year, given my work with places like Wrestling Inc. and Pro Wrestling Illustrated, those nominations would immediately roll over and become a vote in my favor.
Wow. Obviously, you want people to vote for you for Personality of the Year and any other category that you might be eligible for. But you being the humble person you are, who does a lot of charity work, we'll get into that in just a second. Who should people vote for that aren't you?
I think that we're really fortunate this year to have such a spectrum of individuals that can garner some pretty high level attention. In the world of professional wrestling, everybody loves the Acclaimed, and we know that Anthony Bowens is the first out LGBTQ, or in his case, the first out gay man to ever win a world tag team title in AEW. Nyla Rose, of course, is the first transgender woman to ever become a world heavyweight champion in the world of women's wrestling. People like Maxie Taylor, the non-binary nightmare, is out there absolutely killing it, and in my opinion, did one of the two best matches of the weekend at NWA 74. Max not only won the Burke Invitational Battle Royal, but then went on to challenge Camille the next night for the NWA Women's World Championship in what was an incredible match. So Max would be somebody certainly that I would tip my hat to. We've got Dark Sheik, who has once again been killing it all over the circuit with Game Changer Wrestling and well beyond. Such an incredible high-profile athlete. Effie, naturally, I don't even feel the need to mention Effie because everybody knows Effie, it feels like, and Effie is a sensation unto himself. Effie and Ali Catch won the GCW World Tag Team Championships, becoming the first intergender tag team to ever win a recognized Pro Wrestling Illustrated World Tag Team titles. So this has been a big year for people. And then on the national, like on a smaller localized level, if you want to support local people, all the members of my agenda, Anton Vorhees, Money, Power, Respect, would certainly qualify. There's only one member of our entire stable that does not identify as LGBTQ, and he's been adopted by us, so he might as well be. So there's that. Money, Power, Respect as Tag Team of the Year. I would love to see them nominated again. We were nominated last year. Up in the Pacific Northwest, the Bash Brothers are fantastic. Without a Cause Wrestling would certainly qualify as a promotion that people could nominate. Underground Wrestling Alliance is a promotion that people could nominate. I think that there's just so many fantastic options available this year that when I walk out as the personality of the year for the second year in a row, it's going to be an honor because I will know that I have managed to surpass some people like Leva Bates and other people that I just respect and love who are equally deserving of the nominations. But honey, they're gonna have to bring it if they're gonna beat me.
Fair enough. Are more people just more comfortable and open in today's age, 2022, than they were 5 years ago? Or is members of the LGBT community just that more prevalent in pro wrestling now? Like, they've always been there, but they've been quiet. They've been hiding in the shadows. They have not been divulging their own business or wanting to share it with anyone else, but question marks.
Yeah, in my opinion, the world has evolved. I think that pro wrestling has evolved to a degree. And I think that one of the things that has always been a factor in people being so silent about who they are, and you are correct, historically speaking, there have been many, many people in the world of professional wrestling who at rather high levels who have been members of the LGBTQ community, but it's just been the unspoken secret, the worst kept secret, but nobody talks about it. It's the elephant in the room. So what I felt in the world of actual performers in front of the camera, being open about who you are as a persona and a character in the world of professional wrestling, is that for a very long time, the concept was that if people know, you will not be able to make money. If people know, you will not be able to sell tickets. You will not be a success. And all it has taken is a handful of people to prove how incredibly wrong that is.
Sure.
Once it has been proven that it can be done, people can be a success and be authentic and open about who they are. That gives people permission to be like, you know what? I can't use that as an excuse anymore. I can't use that to hide anymore. I can't. It cannot be my justification. And I think simultaneous to that, audiences have also seen those things and been more comfortable showing up in larger numbers in places where they once felt excluded, so that we also have a safety net of people as performers who are there to see us, and it feeds off of each other. The more people in the audience who come and are supportive, that means that the more people in front of the camera, if you will, on screen, can be more open, and then it grows the number of people who show up for you. So it's a very positive experience right now. I think that there's a little bit more that we can do and further we can go, but right now is a very good time to be someone like me in the world of professional wrestling.
I do a show called The Waffle Box. The original Waffle Box. Folks should accept no substitutes because it is the best part of Wednesdays. But we always end those shows with a feel-good story, and we're gonna borrow that here on the Microdose. You maybe I just imagine this, but I feel like you do a lot of charity work. I definitely know that you have folks over for Christmas at your apartment there. Like, what's a charity folks should have on their mind this holiday season coming up?
I think it depends on where you live, certainly,
Okay.
but I'll tell
Well,
you
where you live.
Okay, so here in San Francisco, there's a charitable organization called Tenderloin Tessie. I love what they do at Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter. They feed the most vulnerable people in our community. It's all volunteer run. It was started many years ago by a former Empress of San Francisco. I too am a past Empress of San Francisco. I held that title in 2018 to 2019. It's elected by the community, and you do a year of charity work basically to support that, raising, in our case, Leandro Gonzalez and who was the emperor at that time, and I raised over $136,000 for charity.
Wow.
A rather sizable sum. And
Yes.
one of the organizations that I certainly grew to love because of what they do for the community at large and those who are most in need is Tenderloin Tessie. You can support them by volunteering your time on any of the holidays I mentioned, whether that's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Easter, where you would actually show up and help either to cook or serve those meals. The thing I love most specifically about that, when I say they serve dinner to the vulnerable, at risk, and homeless, people presumably think it's this assembly line of people getting slop thrown on a plate and seated somewhere, and that is not the case. The reality is that the idea behind Tenderloin Tessie is that those people who for so many days of the year may feel overlooked, disregarded, or having a sense of not having their integrity in place because of their life circumstances, those individuals are brought in, they are seated at a table, they are served by waiters and waitresses who are all volunteers. I did it one year, the year I was Empress, I did it in drag, serving them, making sure that they felt like they were at a fine dining restaurant, that they were treated with dignity and respect. And I think that for individuals who are facing really difficult life circumstances, being treated with dignity and respect is quite possibly the biggest gift you can give them, because they feel sometimes they feel invisible. It's been my experience. They feel invisible, and those pieces of themselves have been stripped away as quickly as their finances were in many instances. So I love what they do at Tenderloin Tessie. Another organization that I've always supported because of my personal life experiences is the Castro Country Club, which is a nonprofit located in the Castro district of San Francisco. It is a safe space for the clean and sober community, those who are recovering from alcohol and drug addiction and other related personal issues, where they need the support of whether it's 12 steps or just other individuals who understand and can relate to their own life experiences. That is a nonprofit that I've always supported. The year that Leandro and I were Emperor and Empress, we donated $14,000 to them, because I personally believe that charity organization saved my life. I firmly believe that. And then if you are, outside of the Bay Area, I am very fond of the Love Alive charity. The Love Alive charity was started and is run by the Pope, Elijah Burke. He is a National Wrestling Alliance NWA superstar. He and I co-host our own podcast every week. It is called The Pope's Point of View with Elijah Burke. It's not very creative in terms of the name, but Pope is a genuinely beautiful human being who basically runs the Love Alive charity. He has a group of volunteers and individuals who help him, but he dedicates so much of his time, energy, and efforts towards that nonprofit, which serves the underrepresented and vulnerable communities in Jacksonville, Florida. And I will say that I know that coming up in the new year, in early January, Pope and the Love Alive charity do a big fundraising event down in Jacksonville called the Duval Brawl. It's a pro wrestling show where all the proceeds go to benefit that. And the same day that they do that particular event, they go and distribute food, clothing, and other necessities to those who are most at risk and vulnerable and the impoverished individuals of Jacksonville. And you can check out that organization at love-alive.org, love-alive.org. I know that Pope would certainly appreciate even a $1 donation from people.
Folks, I think this is a good place to put it to rest here. You've already heard what I did. We just plugged the waffle box. And Pollo Del Mar, again, you can find her on Twitch TV at Pollo Del Mar. You can find her on Twitter at the Glamazon PDM, TikTok, and Instagram, Pollo Del Mar fans. Is there anything I'm missing here?
Facebook at Pollo Del Mar fans, but that's about it. You know, like I'm on all the things. You can just Google me. I'm Googleable. POLLO space DEL space MAR, and you can pretty much find me. If you pull up something that's not me, you'll know it. It's like there is a band named Pollo Del Mar, but I'm the one who's like in drag.
I still can't believe you guys haven't collaborated on something together here. But
we really should. They do surf rock, and they don't have a vocalist, and I can't sing or do music, but I could probably howl along or something.
I mean, it's right there. You just guys, you guys need to collaborate. So we need to
Pollo Del Mar featuring Pollo Del Mar.
Yes, 1,000%.
Nobody would ever know who was the featured act and who was not, who was the main act.
Let them wonder. Let them wonder. That's sometimes part of life. For the manager of champions, Pollo Del Mar, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
How many different letters of the alphabet are you associated with these days?
LGBTQ at least.